Hello, everybody. I'm here with my beautiful wife who doesn't want to sit next to me for some reason. Oh, she's rude.
You don't have a setup for you to have tell the truth.
That's true. But yeah, today today we're coming to you with a little discussion, something very different from what I normally would do. Since normally I'd actually have like a rant video or a tier list or some gameplay or something along the lines of that. But I wanted to talk about something entirely different today. I wanted to discuss the concept of is ignorance bliss, and my beautiful wife also said she had some input that she wanted to bring. So this isn't going to be scripted or anything like that. We're just going to basically be kind of bouncing off each other and discussing the concept of it, because we both have different ways we want to tackle it. And I personally, I have a big problem with the concept of ignorance is bliss. So yeah, I will let my beautiful wife start it off.
You're funny. It's literally off the cuff. I've been said, in my humble opinion, that ignorance is definitely not bliss for a myriad of reasons, and primarily my standpoint comes from the fact that a lot of people are ignorant to a number of things and don't know that the very thing that is ailing them, the very things that are harming them in various ways, could be avoidable, could completely be eradicated if they arm themselves with the necessary knowledge so that they're not being subjected to fuckery, essentially.
Oh, I should have warned y'all. This is clearly, my wife doesn't hold back with the language, even though my content is normally clean, except for a couple words sprinkled in between there. You'll be hearing that word a lot. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see that.
Like bitch, right?
I never said that. What are you talking about? But
bring up a clip with unite or smash. Other people will say otherwise.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much where she's gonna come at it from. I'm gonna come at it from a very similar angle, where I'm looking at it in more of the more you know, the more you can make more informed decisions. Like, it is very important to have knowledge and be armed with this, as it allows you to make better decisions, more informed decisions. Being informed doesn't mean that you're not going to make like stupid decisions, or you can't still choose to do something that wouldn't necessarily be smart. It's just that you have the tools to know that, oh, this might not be the best decision, maybe I can do something else. It doesn't take away your option of like, oh, all of my friends are going out of state, for example. None of them have never traveled before. They don't don't even know the group they're traveling with. They're going with a bunch of people they just met for the first time. Like, obviously, I'd probably be like, that's a bad idea. You don't know these people. You haven't even tried to get to know them. It's a little dangerous. Versus, oh, you're traveling with someone you've grown up with. You know pretty much everything about them. So even though you're both traveling for the first time, you at least have each other. Like, there's different ways to look at it. And honestly, being a little bit more knowledgeable goes a long way. Like, if I'm going to relate it to something like a video game, it's like going into, for example, Smash Ultimate has too many characters. And to play the game competitively, you have to learn how to fight multiple different characters, how your main interacts with other people. All of that comes down to knowledge. If you go into like, oh, Yoshi beats Jigglypuff, this is an easy matchup. I don't know how to fight any Jigglypuffs, but Yoshi wins. Like, it's a +2. I just go in and I mash buttons and I win. And then you find out you don't win the matchup by mashing buttons. You win the matchup by having better mobility and having the fact that you have a projectile and having different tools to get around the fact that her hitboxes are actually really good. So you go in thinking, oh, my Nier is going to do all my work and all this stuff, and then you just get destroyed because you didn't take time to actually learn it. That is a part of where ignorance comes back and kind of bites you in the butt. You know? You got anything to add?
I mean, not anything in particular. I mean, those who typically argue that ignorance is bliss is coming from the idea that the more you know, the more miserable you might become because everything starts to appear bleak, essentially. And it's like, yeah, it's true. To some degree, sure, it's true. Having more knowledge isn't like a very happy existence. I will say that sometimes knowing that certain things are unfair and that we do not truly live in a world of meritocracy and we don't live in a world where like things are fair and you're given an equal opportunity across the board, and regardless of how hard you might work, you might not be given that opportunity. That fucking sucks. Knowing that as a reality sucks. Knowing the fact that specific groups of people do not get treated equally when it comes to like medical issues sucks. Like that reality does
Medical
suck.
issues, housing issues.
Basically, like across various areas, we know that the world is just not fair. But being educated about that versus like wondering why things aren't going your way, especially if you are doing the right things and not properly educating yourself, maybe about the historical references based off of where you are, or like historically what has been done in terms of the medical the medical aspects of, like, I feel like me personally, I would be more miserable if I wasn't armed with the necessary knowledge. And specifically, just talking from my own personal experience, if I didn't have a health advocate in which, if I thought this was just the norm and I just went with it because, again, ignorance is fucking bliss, none of my issues would ever get resolved, realistically. If I didn't advocate for myself or have a health advocate that told me that these are whatever parameters I've been given based off of, like, my insurance or what I'm essentially paying for, and I allowed myself to just know the bare minimum, the surface level things that I could potentially have versus everything under the fucking sun, I would never get any form of resolution. And I feel like that probably is pretty true for a lot of people. It sucks when you have an issue that is either curable or could be tended to, or we're not just treating symptoms anymore. When you could get proper specialists under specific plans and that information isn't shared to you. It's unfair. It's shitty. But I'd rather be armed with the knowledge of like, oh, I know like the system in place potentially could be unfair, but still be able to like work within or even outside the system to be like, you know what, bitch, I'm gonna get what I need. One way or another, because I have like a mountain of fucking like avenues because I'm well versed or I'm aware that there are other avenues versus I feel like the door is closed and another one hasn't opened, so I'm stuck.
Yeah, that is a very good way to look at it. It kind of reminds me of, you remember that video that was going around, the one where the dude is like, yo, people who have not been to New York, you know, the tourists or those who, you know, who just recently moved to New York, you should totally go to Brownsville. It's like
the fucking transplants.
Yeah. You should go to Brownsville. It's safe, and you should go there at night. But if you historically know Brownsville, you know you don't go there at night. You don't go to where he's telling you. He's setting you up.
You don't come off. Yeah, if you are aware of the basic like common sense shit, like everything isn't hunky dory. It's not a fucking suburb everywhere. People aren't gonna be greeting you every fucking where. Like not everyone's gonna have that southern hospitality because again, me, a New Yorker, went down to fucking Florida and it was a different experience when people greeted me and said good morning and I'm like, I don't fucking know them. And it's like, that's not the mentality everywhere. Like, sure, you're not like saying good morning to every person in New York. Some people happen to recognize someone like, hey, what's up? How's it going? But it's like in passing, it's like you say that shit, but you continue on your way, generally speaking. And it's, if I'm being real, like, if you're not aware that, hey, like, sometimes you can't be too chummy with every fucking body, you're gonna be taken advantage of. Yep. Unfortunately, as that one meme said, you're a victim. Like, you're gonna be a victim of circumstance, and that's the circumstance you sort of put yourself in because you failed to acknowledge the fact that other places aren't what you're accustomed to, and other places might genuinely be a danger for you.
Yeah.
If you're gullible and you're not paying attention to your surroundings and the people around you, and who's rolling in what groups and who's acting mad shiesty.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta be fucking fully aware 24 fucking 7
Yeah.
based off of the environment you're in and the people that you surround yourself with.
That
so I'm
is
sorry,
very
like
true.
me pulling the wool over my eyes and being like fucking aware of A, B, and C, like your life literally might be short-lived.
Yeah.
Just living like that.
There's so many things that can come up of it from pretending that, oh, I don't need this knowledge. I don't need this. Like, even when you look at it in like simple medical fields, like, oh, I have an ache in my shoulder. That's fine. Whatever. It'll pass. You know, people don't really care unless it gets really bad. And even sometimes, like, oh, it'll still pass, because in some cases we are armed with knowledge where, again, it comes back and it kind of hurts us, but it really doesn't in the long run. You have to make it. Like I said, being armed with knowledge allows you to be making informed decisions. And unfortunately, a lot of us live in America's healthcare system. So my shoulder could be giving out. My shoulder could be hurting me. It could be really bad. And if you don't know, if you're a male and your shoulder starts to ache, that could be a sign of a heart attack. It could sneak up on you. Sometimes it's not like, you know, automatic or anything like that. It's not like, oh, you get a shoulder ache and then the next 5 minutes or so it hits. Sometimes it's like you get pain over a week, 2 weeks, over a period of time, and then, you know, because you're not armed with the knowledge, you're not paying attention to things, you're not checking your blood pressure. You don't know, you're just like, oh, my arm hurts, okay, fine, maybe I did some heavy lifting or something, I'm not really paying attention to it. And then, you know, because you're not paying attention to it, you end up in a situation where now you're in the hospital, now you might have to get stents, now you might not even make it because you unfortunately suffered cardiac arrest or something along the lines of that. And if you were armed with knowledge of, oh yeah, my shoulder hurts, let me at least try to read up. Oh, I'm male, I read up, oh, shoulders can lead to heart attacks. What else are factors? Let me check my blood pressure, let me go see a doctor. Oh, I ended up finding out that I had some kind of clotting somewhere, and the doctors were able to do something about it. Now, that is a nice, how should I put it, pie in the sky kind of thing, kind of ideological thing, because let's be real, we live in America. You could find out all these things, go to a doctor, and they will downplay it to hell and back anyway. And then even if they do what they do, you also have to live with the knowledge that we live in America. And
yeah,
it's going to cost a lot.
You an arm and a leg.
Yeah,
that's the reality.
So,
but also in that same breath, I mean, fucking play the game to your heart's content. If you know there is a loophole somewhere, please use it.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Not saying like act, you know, buck wild and do some back alley shit. Don't do the back alley shit. Please don't do it for your sake and everybody else's sake. Stop doing back alley shit. But if you know that, again, I keep saying health advocates, all about other stuff, like even the people who are still on like any like public medical assistance programs, please like look into all that they offer. Every single thing, whether it's like mental health stuff or like your physical health, like inquire about a number of things. And if they give you fucking attitude, it's like, bitch, like, hello, I signed up with you, not the other way around. I'm to be entitled to this information instead of sitting here reading through like basically bullshit freaking catalogs and like pamphlets that's going to give me some bullshit like I'm going to overcomplicate the wording so I don't really get it. Speak to a fucking human.
Yeah.
To a person, a representative who that is their job description, and emphasize, hey, really explain to me, like, when I get A, B, and C, what does this entail? Hey, if I ended up in the hospital tomorrow, does it kick in, like, immediately? Like, I need the help immediately.
Yeah.
Like, all of these questions you're fucking entitled to ask. And honestly, again, I'm going to keep emphasizing, the more knowledge you have, the better that you're arming yourself with said knowledge versus going into anything fucking blind and not knowing like what the hell you're doing, or feeling like, oh, this door closed, I guess I have to explore a completely different avenue. Like, sure, that might actually be a thing, even if you arm yourself with all of the necessary knowledge around a particular topic, you might have to go to an outside source. You might have to try another method to get what you need done. But at the very least, you know that you exhausted all of your options versus just sitting here like a chicken with its head cut off. Like, what the fuck? I don't understand what's going on. I don't get why it's not working. And it's like, it makes sense why it's not working if you actually understood what that situation is. And the fact that you can now understand, like, maybe it's the doctor that's at fault. Sometimes doctors do downplay your fucking symptoms. So sometimes you have to be like, fuck that doctor, I'm gonna get another one. It's really annoying, trust me. It causes you to do the extra legwork with it, but it beats fucking sitting there and being hopeless and sticking with someone who really doesn't give a shit and you're just a number on the roster or just a random name that's gonna blend into all the other names and they're really not gonna remember you even before you walk out the room. Yeah. It beats that experience.
And it doesn't even have to be anything like super big like that. It could be something as simple as, like, would you go out to a restaurant if that restaurant itself had like a 1-star or 2-star? Would you stay at a motel or a hotel that's like 1-star, 2-star? You'd avoid these places unless you're like forced to, you can't afford it. You'd avoid these places because you know, oh, my friend said that someone went to this particular restaurant and they didn't even do anything for like allergies and now, you know, they're getting sued for that or something along the lines. Like, when things like that happen, if you're able to educate yourself on these places, you know, do a little bit of research before going to do something spontaneous, that goes a long way. It's the same way as
you could go as far to be like, I have food allergies. You wouldn't just go to a restaurant that is not placing things on their freaking labels to warn you that you might have a soy or an egg allergy and probably you shouldn't fucking eat that. That would be shitty to go in without basic fucking knowledge of, one, your body's reaction to outside things, or even I break out from hives just by being overheated. So knowing yourself first, key, and knowing what these people are also serving you, also fucking key. It goes a long way. I wouldn't just pop up to a place where I know for a fact, like, I break out. I'm not gonna pop up and be like, I'm allergic to dust, and then be like, I'm in the dustiest fucking place in my life. Like, without an antihistamine? Hell no. That sounds awful.
Yeah. It's pretty... You have to... The thing about the Ignorance is Bliss thing is that you're like... The way that it comes off for a lot of people is that they're thinking, oh, if I don't know about this thing, or if I just go about my life, I'm gonna enjoy my life, I'm gonna do all these activities, I'm gonna do all these things, and I'm not gonna care about the potential consequences of all of these activities that I do. I'm just gonna be able to go, have fun, live my life, you know, do whatever I want to, and then consequences be damned after, because it'll be worth it. When a lot of the times, people decide, oh, I'm gonna go to this jungle or something along the lines, you know, explore whatever, and they don't pay attention to, you know, oh, there could be leeches, there could be some other bacteria, and then, you know, flesh-eating bacteria and a bunch of other things are in a lot of these areas.
In the water.
Yeah, all of these things are around, and because they're like, oh, I'm just having fun, I'm exploring, I'm having the time of my life, I'm an outdoorsy person, and then just to find out, that's your last day because you made a mistake. You didn't wear the correct gear, you didn't do what was necessary. You decided to drink out of a goddamn lake for some reason.
You went to... Yeah, you didn't get the necessary shots or like whatever fucking preparation when you go to a foreign place that you're not acclimated to. I just want to highlight that we all were born and raised in one place. That doesn't mean I can pop over to a different country with other shit and be like, yeah, I'm good. I that's not a fucking environment that I'm accustomed to.
Yeah.
I might be fucked. That's reality. I need to research. Bitch, am I allergic to like the animals that's more prominent in this particular like area? Mm-hmm. And maybe I just don't see it where I grew up and lived in. That it's good to know. It would be nice to know.
Yeah, knowledge is power. At the end of the day, the problem with ignorance is bliss is that you are trading. Like, people feel like, oh, if I have too much knowledge, I'm not going to be happy because I'm going to know too much. I'm going to, you know, worry too much about this or worry too much about that. And it's like, that is something that can come with it, but you have to eventually learn how to balance it. because I understand that there are certain activities that I would love to do that are potentially dangerous. There are activities that my wife would love to do that I'm like, I am definitely never doing. Like, she wants to skydive, she wants to bungee jump, and I look at that and I'm like, hell no! You know the risk involved. You can go splat. I ain't doing that. That's crazy, you know. But it's like, you know the risk involved. You know all the things. You're not gonna go to some random. Oh my God, I'm doing bungee jump for the first time. You're not gonna be somebody's first customer. That's crazy. With something like that, I'm not gonna be someone's first customer at the sky. If I'm going skydiving, I don't know what you do. I don't know what practice. Maybe, oh yeah, this guy's forgetful. He forgot his parachute, and one of the people jumped down, and they, you know, all kinds of stuff can happen if you just don't do even basic research on especially dangerous things like that. So it's more of a, yes, there are things that it can kind of dampen your enjoyment, like, you know, oh, there's a flu going around, and I know there's ways to somehow, you know, go out and prevent myself from getting sick and all that other stuff. I could do that, and, you know, it'll be a damper somewhat because I'm not able to fully enjoy myself because I'm having to take all of these extra precautions around it. But at the end of the day, I'm still able to go out and enjoy that concert, enjoy that activity. If I wanted to go fishing, if I wanted to go, you know, hiking or something like that, I can still do that and know that, oh, I'm at least making sure that when I'm done with all of this fun, I don't bring something back to me that could potentially put me out for weeks or months or whatever. So there's different aspects of it to look at it from. It's not just, oh, you're doing this. Why are you not doing this thing? This thing's so much fun. It's like, yeah, until you realize the consequences of it. Like, another thing you can look at, for example, smoking, vaping, all that stuff that can lead to your lungs collapsing, among other things, and the fact that you can basically hurt the other people around you with secondhand smoke and such. This is knowledge that's out here, and we also know that the products that they're using is very addicting, and they're basically trying to get you on this stuff so they can keep making a profit and basically use you as a money mule, essentially. But if you're armed with that knowledge, you know, oh, I know it's addictive, I'm not going to try it at all. Or if I try it once, I know for a fact I'm not going to do it. I'm going to try my best to make sure they never do it again because I don't want these negative things to impact me. Or if I know that these things are something that I'm into, like, oh, I like smoking, I like drinking, I like doing all these things, then I know for a fact I need to regularly go to my doctor, get my lungs checked, get my liver checked, make sure that I have a specialist, make sure all these things in check because I am doing stuff that can actively ruin them. It's not just, oh, well, I'm not going to do X thing. You're like, you can still do X thing, but you have the knowledge of knowing that, oh, because I am doing X thing, I have to follow up on whatever else after, since I know it can lead to whatever problems later down. It's pretty much being armed with knowledge helps you not just make decisions, but also be able to deal with the consequences of your decisions that you make. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to hit on with it, because I had a discussion with someone and they're like, they were basically saying that they had knowledge and they didn't, and the knowledge scared them. They were too afraid of it, so they wanted to kind of just throw it in the garbage, like forget about it, and, you know, they were basically being paralyzed by the knowledge that they had. They were afraid of what they knew, because the world we live in, as my wife stated, is not safe. It's not easy. It's very dangerous out there. Basically, stepping out of your house puts you into danger zone for so many things. Like, if you understood that, oh, just a vehicle driving past you is really dangerous because the rubber that rubs off on the tires basically kicks up microplastics, and we already have microplastics everywhere. Like, when you know all of that, it can be dangerous just thinking, oh my god, if I go outside, I'm going to have microplastics down my throat. Oh my god, microplastics are in my food. They're in this, they're in that. And it's like, you have this knowledge, and it's terrifying. Because there's so many things that have been linked to it. Whether it is cancer, or lower sperm count, or lower female fertility. Male and female fertility. There's so many negative aspects of it but now you're armed with the knowledge. It's like, oh yeah, I can use a N95 or something like that to kind of lower the amount of microplastics I at least breathe in. You know, I can potentially try to grow my own food in some kind of sterile environment. You know, there's other ways to go about it. Some things are extreme, obviously, but there's different ways to go about a lot of the dangerous things that are out there, where you really shouldn't let yourself be paralyzed by the fear, because there's always ways to deal with something. Even if it's not the most fun or safe way, as long as you're armed with the knowledge, you might potentially be able to find some way to still go out and have fun. Like, there have been so many outbreaks of diseases and so many other things that pop up, and if you look at how a lot of Asian countries kind of deal with it, they mask up and they still basically have their fun. They still do what they have to do, and a lot of the times the outbreaks don't spread that far because of their practices. We in the West are very different. We're very individualistic, so we kind of look out for ourselves and nobody else, and for some reason we believe that we're Superman, which I feel like that falls onto the ignorance of us believing that science and our medicine can cure all, when we know for a fact that we have no cure for cancer. There's a lot of incurable diseases. It's another topic I would hit on with this same thing. It's like, people love to have intercourse. A lot of people love to have intercourse. They love to go around and swing whatever private parts they have around like there's no tomorrow. And everyone knows everyone should know there are consequences to it. Too many people just stop at, oh, there's pregnancy. It's not just pregnancy. It's not just pregnancy, y'all. There's a lot more than just pregnancy. There's so many infectious diseases also pop up. There's so many other things that you should be knowledgeable about that a lot of people aren't paying attention to. So they go and they raw dog here and they raw dog here, and it's like, oh yeah, I have plan B ready. Oh, I have the pull-out method, which, that's stupid. Don't ever do that. It don't work, bro. No. So there's other aspects to it, is what I'm saying. Like, just having that knowledge allows you to be able to, fight things. Oh, I don't want a disease, so I understand that you can get diseases via like oral stuff or via straight penetration or anything like that. So you have your condoms, you have your, what's the one for your mouth? Because there's something that they have for that too. Like, basically,
and it acts as a barrier essentially, so that you're not directly touching downstairs areas with your mouth, or other areas with your mouth, or like fluids aren't coming into contact with your mouth and you're ingesting it. So it's pretty much like that, and that's all of that comes together to form a picture of why I am of the opinion that the more knowledge you have, the better it is. I understand why some people feel like having too much knowledge can be a negative, but I don't feel like there's really such a thing as too much knowledge. I feel like we, however, have to understand that you have to know how to use this knowledge, and you can't just basically go off of, well, if I don't know it, then whatever happens, I'll deal with that. That's for future me to deal with. But future you probably doesn't want to deal with it. If now you doesn't want to deal with it, why would future you want to deal with it? You know? So, Chanel, did you enjoy this discussion? Do you have anything else to add? Sure. Yes, I enjoyed this mini discussion of pretty much us just talking about the topic. Like, again, I don't mind being devil's advocate. I can see like potentially the appeal of not knowing certain things, but in the same breath, I'm like, ooh, the things that I do know, like if I didn't know them, I would be a lot more frustrated.
You might not be here right
now. Yeah, and that's also why I'm like, I would be extremely frustrated with like how life is going and why is this happening, and not doing my due diligence by going out and seeking the answers. That's just me. Again, like, at the end of the day, y'all gonna do whatever the fuck y'all want to do. And I already know that. Like, again, people feel the need of, like, it's a heavy burden and so on and so forth, and they just can't bear that burden. They can't carry it on their shoulders. And I get it. Some shit, like, knowing sometimes is the worst for some people. Not knowing for me is the fucking worst. And that's why I'm like, let me research this, let me pick up a book, let me go and look at scholarly journals, let me ask other people who are more knowledgeable than I am. Because not knowing is, like, very scary in and of itself for me. Because oftentimes, you know for a fact, like, we often fear the unknown.
Yeah.
And sometimes it causes that fear to vanish the more that you do know about it.
Yeah.
So, like, if I had a fear of, like, I don't know, like, sharks. I mean, granted, I'm not going to be swimming with sharks. That's just me. That's my personal preference. But if, you know, I went off of horror movies like Jaws and whatnot, oh my god, those things are fucking terrifying. I'm never going, like, I hope I never encounter, and to this day, I still would hope I never encounter a shark. But knowing the fact that shark attacks aren't as frequent as we have them portrayed in movies and maybe even shows is a little bit like a fucking sigh of relief, a little bit. That I would have a higher chance probably getting mowed down by an MTA bus than being eaten by a shark.
And the thing about
getting, you know, like, bopped in the head from some stupid freaking trend than by being, like, eaten by a shark. Just knowing that, where it's like, oh, I can swim in, like, the ocean. Granted, I'm still aware of, like, the other life forms in said water-based areas. But I'm like, oh, like, my chances is probably, like, it's not 100, it's not 90, it's not even, like, 80%. It's a lot lower than people think.
Yeah, like, the thing about it is, even the creator of Jaws has came out and said that they regretted
it.
Yeah.
He regretted that because it was a false narrative. And yeah, like, again, I'm using, like, it's a gigantic fucking hyperbole. Like, I understand, like, there's dangers in terms of, like, nature and whatnot. Hence, me being educated about wild animals, fucking with them. All these people you see in these weird fucking shorts and videos, whether it be on Instagram, TikTok, whatever on the lines of that, y'all are fucking with the monkeys and doing weird shit. No, I'm not trying to have those little bastards rip my face off, because I also know that's a possibility.
Yep.
Just because it's not 90% even in that same breath is also like, I can mitigate certain risk, essentially, is what I'm saying. So, like, I like to swim, and I could swim, sure, at a pool, but the feeling of being in the ocean is a different experience altogether. And I can understand the risk of going into the water and still be like, you know what, I'm willing to take that risk and be knowledgeable of it, versus being blind and going into it not knowing shit and being like, I got stung by a jellyfish and I don't know what happened. It's like, girl, you look slow. Like, the jellyfish are always there, so you should have educated yourself before hopping into that water. But in the same breath, it's like, in general, like, I would just prefer to know. I would prefer to be like, damn, it's 90% that shit might happen. Maybe I might reconsider my options.
Yeah.
Or, oh, it's 25%. I mean, it is low, but that's
25 is not low.
That's pretty. Yeah, I mean, but it's lower than 90. Like, depending on the circumstance, you still might take your risk in certain chances, because, like, if we're going to, like, the extreme, let's say there's 25% survival and I had, like, an incurable disease. If I have no other fucking option, I'm taking the 25%. Granted, I might still get taken out, but if there's still an opportunity, bitch, I'm not calling it quits until I exhaust every fucking option in the book. I'm just saying, like, it's low. It's low, depending on how you look at it. Sometimes it is pretty high. It's 1 in 4. That's pretty high. If someone was all like, you could get gonorrhea in 1/4, bitch, that's pretty high. Like, that means in a room of multiple people, some of y'all have it. Yep. I'm just saying, it all depends on, like, perspective and all of that other stuff. It's a nice way of arming yourself, having that knowledge to be like, do I want to mitigate this risk by not taking the chance at all, or do I want to put things into play that I know could, like, maybe eliminate it entirely, and if I can't eliminate it entirely, then I can lower my chances for this. And then you're still making an educational like choice. I mean, granted, some of the decisions could be just buck wild dumb. You could completely know that if I jump out of a plane without a fucking parachute, I'm just gonna go splat.
Yep.
But you know, like you can make the obvious choice to still do it though. And it's like, I mean, that was your choice. Not to say to fucking do that. That's buck wild. That is buck wild. But at least I'm not going with the idea, bitch, I thought all of a sudden I would be like a baby bird and I was gonna fly. Like,
I
girl,
believe I can
be
fly.
fucking for real. Be fucking for real, girl. That's not how evolution works. You're gonna go splat. You're not that fucking special. You're not an MC in an anime. Like, be fucking for real.
You're not gonna get that level up and get some random power right before. That's not how this world works.
Yes, this is not solo leveling, bitch. We not MCs. We might be MCs in our stories, but you're not MCs of the world. Like, come back to reality. Work with the tools that you have.
Yep. And that is why knowledge
you want to fly, get a parachute.
Yep. That's why knowledge is very important. I'm pretty much of this very simple opinion. The more you know, it can never really hurt you unless you are one of those people that like to massively overthink and you have this small thing and you bubble it up to someone like, yeah, it's good to know, because don't get me wrong, it's good to know. It's always good to know. Sometimes you can't just jump to the worst possible conclusion. That's why it's like, the more you know, the more you can figure out, oh, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this, instead of being like, oh, yeah, I heard that my shoulder aching means I'm going to get a heart attack. Maybe I just sprained it. Maybe I lifted something a little poorly and I threw it out and dislocated it,
Bad form, or I hit my arm on something. It's just the fact that it could be a myriad of things in which it's like, okay, well, I know that it's hurt in some way, so my best bet, go to a doctor.
Yeah.
Maybe go and recount the day that I went, or when this occurred. Because again, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to men, the symptoms are very it has been researched a little bit more than women when it comes to heart attacks, and usually people would think, oh, she's just going through menopause and all of that other stuff. She would be really hot and oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on, and so on and so forth. And we'd be like, oh, you're an old bitch anyways, and it's all of a sudden it's a fucking heart attack for a woman, because the signs aren't going to be the same. And for a dude, it's a specific arm, if I'm not mistaken.
The left arm.
At least so it's a specific arm. It's certain things that you can look out for. As long as you know, that something, then you can bring this up and be like, hey, this is a real concern for me. Can you check into it? To a professional who should know more, to a cardiologist, and check into it, and so on and so forth. I feel to some degree, collectively as a society, sometimes we don't ask enough fucking questions, and that's why we do not see the progress that we really.
You can just look at the state of this country right now.
Yes.
I don't want to go too deep into the politics, but you can just look at what's happening with LA and the whole idea of protesting and the way they're going about it, and it's protesting is good. It is very good. Fight for your rights. However, I need y'all to read a history book and tell me when a peaceful protest has ever actually really worked without there being some form of threat or violence or something done before. That's a big warning of, we're doing this peacefully and we're telling you right now, this is your last chance before we step up and we do something else. Protests are supposed to be a last warning. They're supposed to be something that you use to basically tell those in power that, hey, if you don't do the thing that we the people want, then there will be consequences. The protest isn't the end-all be-all, and people are treating it like it's an end-all be-all. And some people are doing it for the wrong reasons. I've seen so many people out there trying to protest, and they're going on camera, they're taking off their mask, they're showing their face, they're basically screaming their full government identity into those things, and I'm like, we live in a country where you should know better. The knowledge is out there. You know how they treat people who they see as a problem, especially if you're making yourself known. We know they were disappearing people for a very long time. It's not even a recent thing. They've been disappearing people for a long time and getting rid of people that are threats, and you're making yourself actively known. You're letting them know, hey, FBI, hey, people in government, this is my face, this is my name, come get me. Hello? I'm not the only one thinking that this is dumb, right?
Think, Mark, think. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do have to use your fucking noggin instead of like, just doing shit. Use your noggin. That's what they taught us to do, right? Like, yeah, you can think within the box, or sometimes think outside of the box and use your fucking brain.
Critical thinking skills go far.
Where you know how like certain entities within this world are going to respond based off of what you're doing. You're protesting loudly against something that they want to implement or that they are actively implementing, and they want to shut that shit down. They're in opposition of you. They're not going to be like, oh, your speech was so inspiring, Naruto. I'm totally going to do what you want to do. I'm just saying, like, you might be able to sway some people, sure, and some people like, bitch, ain't nobody want to hear all that. Shut the fuck down.
And I want to point out something with the whole Naruto speech thing. Just a small tangent. Y'all realize that half the time before Naruto's wonderful big speech, like, you know, there's a big ass fight before where they sometimes either go to a draw or, you know, during the fight, he's basically educating them about why they're wrong during that entire altercation, and by the end of the fight, if this isn't someone that's basically irredeemable, then they're like, oh yeah, you are right, I'm going about this the wrong way, let me change my ways, let me fix what I can, based off of, like, that's the same way, like, you're looking at the protest. The protest is basically like, if you want the government to basically change, this is just simple advice. If you want the government to be more for the people, when you actually protest, it's fear. The answer is fear. You have to make them afraid of you. Protesting only works if they fear you. If you go outside and you kneel down and you sit down and you just sit there and you let the cops or whoever do whatever you want, you're not putting any fear into anybody. They're just gonna be like, who cares what these people... And the cops are going to see it as a way to just beat up people because, hey, pigs will be pigs, if we're going to be honest here. But, yeah, you're just giving them the opportunity to basically do whatever the hell they want instead of putting some sort of fear into them where it's like, oh, yeah, if I don't do what these protesters are doing, they might do even worse things. No one wants it to come to that, which is why it's like, they start peaceful, but once they start to show you that they don't care about your peace, you have to show them that, oh, well, if you don't care about my peace, then why should I care about your peace? You know? That's how most things in the world has progressed. It's, you can't be idealistic in this way. That's being ignorant, in other words. Ignorance is not bliss. You have to have that knowledge. So I think that's gonna wrap it up. Is it?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Outside of our wonderful protest talk, which I'm not offering any advice in any way, shape, or form. If you take my advice, it wasn't me. Government, don't come after me. I didn't do anything. Anyway, yeah, thank you all so much for watching and listening. If you're just listening to this in the background, this was just a nice little discussion about ignorance, because honestly, it's not bliss. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is always going to be power, and you can always have more knowledge, and that just allows you to be able to use what you know in multiple different ways. It doesn't mean that you're not going to do things that are necessarily like the smartest or like not dangerous or anything like that because of potential things that happen, but it means that you have other tools in place so that if you choose to do something that's not the smartest, or, you know, do something that's a little dangerous and such, then you have, the right tools. It's the same way where, oh, you go to a party, you go to a nightclub, you're a wonderful young person, old person, doesn't really matter. Someone buys you a drink, you don't know what they put in the drink, you don't drink it. It's as simple as that. So yeah. With that, I think I'm gonna thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this video. This is very different from the rest that I normally do. I want to thank my beautiful wife, Chanel, for joining me. You got nothing? Got nothing after all those compliments? Nothing?
Nah. Nada.
But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you found this video enlightening, let me know if there's any other topics you'd like us to talk about, because I like discussions. I like debating. Chanel likes discussions. I don't know if she likes debating. Do you like debating?
Not always.
Yeah, but we like discussions, especially simple ones like this, where it's, yeah. So, yeah. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I'll see y'all in the next one. I don't know what the next one will be, but I'll see y'all in my next video. I don't know about that one. I don't support that company in any shape or form. But yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.